From acquiring endorsements from big names like Puma and Sony to an attempt to buy a Premier League giant, Lewis Hamilton is no stranger to making big money moves. And recently, news broke out that he has bought a hefty stake in a major NFL team, making him co-owner of the club. So sit back and relax as we discuss the events leading to the F1 legend cashing out on the NFL team. First and foremost, the Chelsea problem. Let's take a recap, shall we? Earlier this year, war broke out between Ukraine and Russia, which shook things up globally, and in the sporting sector, involving one of the biggest names in football, Chelsea FC. And in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the government of the UK placed multiple sanctions on Chelsea FC owner, Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich, due to his political and personal ties to the Russian government. After Abramovich's assets were frozen, the London Blues received a special sporting license that prevented them from selling any additional tickets or merchandise. The license further imposed various other restrictions, including a limit on travel expenses. But let's not get too political here. Followed by Sir Hamilton's attempt to buy Premier League giants. As a result of the sanctions placed upon them, Roman Abramovich, who served the club for 19 years, was forced to put his beloved organization up for sale. And as soon as the Premier League giants were up for sale in April, suited investors and billionaires started lining up to have a piece of the big blue cake. That's when rumors spread that the F1 legend, Sir Lewis Hamilton, was interested in buying the club. And the rumors proved to be true. Sky Sports reported that Hamilton was partnering up with the 23-time Grand Slam winner Serena Williams in an attempt to buy the Chelsea Football Club. The 7-time racing champion and former #1 women's tennis player were said to have each contributed £10 million to the takeover initiative, including other notable investors. Williams and Hamilton both have had a history of investing and experimenting in new ventures, and we think it's safe to say that this was going to be one hell of an investment. Could you imagine owning one of the biggest clubs in the Premier League? Because we certainly can't. But we can't say the same for Lewis. Isn't he an Arsenal fan through and through? Isn't there a significant and historic rivalry between the London Red and Blues? Guess the bid was just kinda unexpected coming from a gooner. He was also trying to chase the bag, so we get it. Unfortunately, the bid made by the young athletes fell through, and Todd Boehly of Eldridge Industries came out on top in securing the deal with an offer accepted worth $5.33 billion, making him the new owner of the London Blues. But this wasn't going to stop the relentlessness of 7-time champion. Maybe this was the beginning for him. Up next, Hamilton's big purchase in the NFL on the 2nd of August. Denver Broncos announced F1 legend Sir Lewis Hamilton as part of the ownership group of the team. According to a statement released by Rob Walton on behalf of the Walton-Penner family ownership group, he has been introduced as a limited shareholder. Walton added that Hamilton is a champion competitor who knows what it takes to lead a winning team and is a fierce advocate for global equality, especially in his sport. Lewis is regarded as the most successful F1 driver of all time, with more than 100 race victories. The ownership group and the Broncos organization are very likely to benefit from his relentless spirit and high standards. That brings us to the deal coming through as one of the final 3 proposals to be shortlisted to buy Chelsea FC. Martin Broughton, the former chairman of English Airways, enlisted the help of tennis player Serena Williams and F1 driver Hamilton in April. But it was ruled out when it became clear that the plan depended on a $611 million loan from 3 U.S. banks. Seems like this pushed the relentless Lewis Hamilton to strive forward and look for more sports-related business ventures. And it sounds like an excellent move, as the players also feel good about the acquisition. Russell Wilson, the Broncos' starting quarterback, praised Hamilton's acquisition of the team's ownership. Wilson and his wife Ciara attended the Monaco Grand Prix as Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes team guests this year. And lastly, where does Hamilton fit in all this? Hamilton, who has won 103 races, has joined the ownership group of the 3-time Super Bowl champions as the 3rd known limited shareholder. The ownership group also includes Condoleezza Rice, the former U.S. Secretary of State, and Melody Hobson, co-chief executive of Ariel Investments and chair of Starbucks. And as for Walton, age 77, he's the face of the Broncos ownership group, which also consists of his daughter Carrie Walton-Penner and her husband Greg Penner. He served as chairman of Wal-Mart, the biggest retailer in the world, from 1992 until his retirement in 2015, and his estimated net worth is close to $60 billion. Following last week's approval by the league's finance committee, the NFL is anticipated to complete its approval of the acquisition agreement with the Walton-Penner Group on Tuesday in Minneapolis. But we and the fans are concerned about whether this major stakeholding decision will affect Hamilton's form in the F1. Guess it's his job to prove us wrong in the circuit. In other related news, a former player believes the Broncos can win the Super Bowl. Derek Wolfe, the ex-Broncos player who announced his retirement from the NFL on Friday, had a simple message for his former team. In a recent presser, he explained that the Broncos had found the piece they've been missing, Russell Wilson. He urged the team to follow Wilson's lead, as he knows what he's doing. Wolfe said he believes this year's iteration of the Broncos can make a run to the Super Bowl, as he said the defense also has the necessary talent to make a run. They have the pieces to do it, Wolf said. He further dived into the semantics of it by stating that Justin Simmons is a player who does everything right. He's a true professional and the same guy every day. He added that for young players, Simmons and Bradley Chubb are the players and the role models they should be looking up to. Wolf also mentioned that pursuing a Super Bowl can be fleeting, and a team never truly knows when its opportunity may come. Secondly, Broncos' new signing has arrived. The Broncos have signed a wide receiver with ties to Nathaniel Hackett. The team announced on the 4th that Darius Shepard, another wide receiver, had been added to Denver's 90-man roster. Shepard, a North Dakota State graduate who entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent in 2019, spent some time on the Packers practice squad that season. He had 6 appearances for the Packers the following season, playing in 53 offensive snaps and serving as the team's kick returner. He only caught 1 pass in 2019, but in 8 games in 2020, he caught 5 for 46 yards. During his time in Green Bay, Hackett was the offensive coordinator of the Packers. The new addition to the team brings the Broncos roster back to 90 players. And finally, a bit of F1's silly season. The narrative of Oscar Piastri, Alpine vs. McLaren, and what it means for Daniel Ricciardo and the grid for 2023 are all part of what began some insane bombshells from Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso. The fact that all 3 main teams had lineups set for 2023 has long been known, and the news-filled Hungarian Grand Prix weekend provided extra assurance about the grid for the following year. Due to Sebastian Vettel's retirement, Aston Martin was able to quickly and unexpectedly hire Fernando Alonso, another world champion, to fill the vacant position. That left a spot open at Alpine, and when they announced Oscar Piastri's promotion, they felt they had their own quick fix. But the highly regarded Australian pushed back and insisted that he would not be driving there. Ouch. To add to the circus, there might also be a seat vacant at McLaren, where Daniel Ricciardo is convinced he has a watertight deal for 2023, despite the team's management hinting at having other choices. At least in some ways, Alpine is the best available F1 seat currently open, with the Williams position appearing to be the next most achievable. On the other hand, a contract dispute led to Alonso's shocking switch from Alpine to Aston Martin, who are presently 5 positions and 79 points worse off in the championship. The Silverstone team was eager to offer the 41-year-old the multi-year deal he wanted, and it certainly caught Alpine off guard, but it also seemed to address one of their problems. The Renault-owned team had already been worrying about what would happen to Piastri, their backup driver and the current Formula 2 champion, and they were prepared to try and find him a seat elsewhere after learning the challenges of doing so from their unsuccessful attempt the previous year. Alonso's exit opened up another competitive seat, with Alpine having a competitive driver in the house and waiting. Sounds simple, right? Well, it's really not that simple. The cycle goes round and round in this circus, as Alpine's next choice has recently snubbed them, leaving their future uncertain. It could be days or even months before the teams and their drivers are finalized for the 2023 season, but we, for once, are enjoying this silly season. That's all for this video. What are your thoughts on Lewis Hamilton buying a stake in NFL's Broncos? Do you think this will affect his form in F1? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.